Military marriages are very difficult. Um, no matter what is going on, you have to take ownership of yourself. And that's not an easy thing to recognize. But the only thing that you can ever control is yourself. And like the saying goes, if the Army wanted you to have a spouse, they would have issued you one, right? They don't like to make it easy on military spouses, but you have to take ownership of your own mental health.
Welcome to the Tango Tango podcast. Real, raw, and unfiltered conversations with veterans and those who support them. Tune in, be inspired, and walk away stronger.
I have an amazing guest today, but before we get to it, as always, want to thank my friends over at CareSource Military and Veteran for sponsoring this season. And please welcome Michelle Lane. Michelle is the Executive Director to, I got to read this to make sure I don't get it wrong, Operation Honor Rural Salutes. I've practiced that in my head like 5 times. And it's an amazing brand new nonprofit that is doing some amazing things in the space that we're going to get to know about, hear about here in a second. But Michelle's also one of my Bush Institute's veteran leadership classmates, and we've focused probably about 6 or 7 to this point. And Michelle is remarkable without an exception, just like the other 6 or 7. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lloyd. I love talking with you.
So, Michelle, you're from small town America in Pennsylvania. Did you grow up in Pennsylvania or did you move there?
I grew up here in Fulton County, Pennsylvania, and I think like our county population is around 5,000 people here. So the town that I grew up in has 1,400, so 1,450 people the last time that I checked.
Holy cow. And what's like a closer, like bigger city?
Some people, if they drive through Pennsylvania a lot, they know Bedford, Pennsylvania, because the turnpike is there. The other closest big city is Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And then our capital, Harrisburg, is like an hour and a half away.
Wow. That is in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah, really.
That's an amazing nonprofit called Rural Salutes. So
Yeah.
what did like your school years look like? You elementary school, middle school, high school?
Well, it's one of those towns where, everybody knows what you ate for breakfast before you leave the house pretty much. So you have to be careful what you do and who you say, because it will get back to your mama and then she'll be upset. Uh, so that can be a good thing and a bad thing. But I graduated with, I think, 64 people in my class, and pretty much who we started with, other than a few, is who we ended up graduating with. So really, really tight knit classmates. And then you had to make friends with upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, and then keep yourself busy. I played 3 sports, so we're an athletic family. All of us did basketball, volleyball, and track all 4 years. And the school is so small. You're kind of halfway decent. You make the varsity team when you're a freshman, so keeps you busy. And then summer, the only thing to do was the community pool, and it was like 5 miles outside of town. So you're either hitching a ride, or some people would bicycle there.
Wow. And what does the job market look like in a town like that?
Interestingly enough, there is this company called JLG Industries, and it was founded by John L. Grove. So I'm going to give you a history lesson. He used to be friends with my uncle, who was one of like the kind of founders of this town. He ran the IGA in town. There's just a couple of these men that founded things. But JLG Industries is the biggest industry here. They're global, and it all starts with, like, if you see a Humvee go out, Oshkosh acquired them now. But when things were really kicking off overseas, like, you would just see a parade of, and I don't know military vehicle names, Humvees, basically, going, because our tiny little factory in McConnellsburg produced a ton of them. So they're the ones that, the big boom lift, like the yellow and orange boom lifts, that's JLG Industries. So It's a global industry right here in a town of 1,400 people. That's their headquarters.
And what did you do when you graduated high school?
So I went to college. I mean, I took a summer job. I was a lifeguard every summer, taught swimming lessons every summer, worked in an insurance agency, all these things. But then I went to school, Juniata College up the road, right below State College. And I made my own major because I went to a liberal arts school where you could create your own major. It was also
That's
a tiny school. My best friend from there, she graduated at high school with more kids than we graduated college. I think we graduated with like 1,200 people. So still, pretty small. But my degree is in sports management with exercise science.
all right. Wow. And I think I remember reading on your LinkedIn bio where you had a job in sports management. Was it something with your high school softball?
My first big girl job outside of college. So I went back and worked to the same insurance agency that I worked during the winters and summer breaks of college. But then my first big girl job was the community health and wellness coordinator up the road at our critical access hospital. So I got pretty much a job interview and I walked into a local Sheets and the public relations director was there and she's like, I've been meaning to talk to you. I want you to come in and interview for a job. I was like, okay, Misty. But it's funny because I was just laughing with her about that the other day because I got to come back to the hospital and talk to them about rural veterans now. Um, but that job really, really prepared me for what I do now because it was like drinking from the fire hose of how to get information out to rural America, and kind of like quickly gain their trust. I was in charge of the Affordable Care Act enrollment, so in the health marketplace. And this market here was not loving that. They did not love the policy about it. They did not love that they had to do this now. So that was quite a unique experience to get that done. And I was coaching middle school boys basketball during enrollment. I learned a lot of lessons during that time.
And did you know anything about the military before you met Chris?
I had no idea. I had none. No, no clue. I was really concerned. He still laughs about this because I was really, really worried. Because, I'm a struggling young lady out on her own after college. I'm trying to pay my student loans back, making sure counting pennies at the grocery store and stuff. And I said, he kept coming down to visit me. And it's like a 6-hour drive. And I was like, I don't want you to keep doing this. I know it's really expensive. Gas is expensive. And I don't know what the military is like. Like, I don't know what your paycheck is like. And I don't feel like you can afford this. He was I think he was a lieutenant at the time or something. And he's like, it is okay. Like I literally have no other responsibilities. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I don't know about this. So yeah, that was another just drinking from the fire hose experience because there was a lot early on in our relationship that looking back now, I would have loved to have been more prepared for.
Oh, and where'd you guys meet at?
So he's a townie. I married a townie and my friends make fun of me for it. I was back home visiting some college friends who worked at the college and he was on block leave. And so we met in a dive bar and kind of bonded over my dislike of UFC women fighting because that was what was on TV. And I'm like, I can't stand to watch women fight. I don't like it.
Wow, yeah, very cool. And from that meeting, how long was it before you guys got married?
I felt like it was a really long time. So it was 2 years. And I had already 8 months into dating. I had already quit my job and moved up to Fort Drum. And so I'm like, when is this going to happen? Because I moved up there thinking I would get a job because the director of the wellness center on Drum wanted to hire me to help with the programs up there. I'm like, great, that's perfect. But it never happened. So finally, I'm like, can we just get married so I can have spousal preference and, do it for the TRICARE? And so I tried to do it for a job and I still never got that job.
My marriage story when I started dating Sarah. So I listen to Dr. Laura like all the time. I love Dr. Laura. And Dr. Laura says, do not even think about getting married until it's at least 2 years. And I think Sarah used to sit in my Chevy Silverado and go, "Ugh, I can't stand her." So she was really surprised because I asked her to marry me before the 2-year mark.
There you go. I mean, statistically speaking, people who date longer than 2 years are more likely to stay together.
Yeah. So Fort Drum, New York. What did life as a military spouse look like in Fort Drum, New York?
It really shaped my opinion of being a military spouse in a negative way when I was up there, to be honest. So it really didn't set me up for success. There really wasn't community up there. We didn't live on base. Um, I really was out of touch with the military community. Most of my friends were actually civilians that I made through like the gym and work and everything like that. And I loved that aspect of it. I really loved getting involved with the community. I still really love Fort Drum and I really enjoyed my experience at Watertown, to be honest with you. But moving up there, I had to quit my really nice job to move up there. And it was really, really, really depressing. And I took a big hit with my mental health, not being able to be employed up there. Like I would go through second, third round interviews, and then they would always hire a local. At that time, the town didn't have a great relationship with the military. They were working on improving it. So I ended up just trying to work myself to death. I had 4 jobs at one point, just to kind of try and feel like I had some type of self worth, like I was contributing. Um, and I had like Chris's coworker one at the time, like she would essentially call me a dependa because he signed for my student loans. That way I could get a lower interest rate. And I'm like, I can't get a job. Like I'm trying. I was working at Zales. I went from a nice job to selling in a mall. And I'm like, this is horrifying. And getting bullied by other military spouses coming in there who were so mean. And so I had just a really, really negative experience of the military community up there. I did really learn to dive into the community that was already there because at every base you're at, I love to get to know the locals and have those type of relationships too. It just, I don't know, it makes you feel like it's home, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the biggest, my late wife, every time we moved, and we moved 7 times, that she had to, give up a good job and then struggle finding a job. Like each and every time when I finally transitioned after 20 years of the military, she was my transition assistant. Like, right. The TAP program at
Mhm.
the time was horrible. It's a little better now. But I just saw all the lessons that she learned job hunting all the time. And that's a challenge. And then from base to base, especially the spouse network, you never know what you get. It could be wonderful in Edwards, California, where we went, and the next one might not have been so great. You have to build resilience, and then especially when you start having kids. So the military spouse is it's very near to and dear to my heart, but you didn't sign up for a lot of that stuff that was just put on your plate. Were you in Fort Drum the whole time, or did you move?
I was there from like 2015 to 27, so like 2 years, and then we went to Fort Benning for like a year and a half, I think, and I really liked Fort Benning. We had a great community there, great group of military spouses. Chris had great coworkers, which makes it so much better. He has worked really, he has had just an interesting career overall where he's usually in these positions with people that are like much, much older. And so sometimes I just don't have any spouses that he works with that are like either remotely close to my age or like have the same interest, so which
Yeah.
is fine too. But Fort Benning was a really, really nice community, and that's where we had our first baby. Um, and Mock, I think the hospital down there was like brand
Yeah.
new and still the nicest place that I ever had a baby. It's crazy. Just really spoiled me.
Hey, the old hospital wasn't that bad because I was born in that old hospital.
Really.
So yeah, it is a very nice hospital, especially for the Army. And then what was after Fort Benning?
Then he got out. So that's whenever he made sort of like a quick transition. So he was at MCCC down there. Well, he finished the course, but then they sent him out to Fort Irwin. And before the course started, he tried to put in a warrant officer packet, didn't go through. At that time, they were not releasing any officers from infantry to any other MOS or any other. They didn't want to release them because there was, I guess, a shortage. And he was like, well, I don't have a ranger tab. I'm never going to make major. So I'm not going to go out to the middle of the desert and have my family have a terrible experience for something that's not even going to advance my career because I'm kind of dead in the water, you know? So he made a decision to get out. So, like, within 6 months, he was out of Fort Benning. We were back in Pennsylvania. You know, he went through tasks, and 6 months is not enough time to transition. So, um, he did the best that he could. He got a job, got everything, you know, lined up. We moved back to Lancaster, and then, like, because of that quick transition, it really kind of put him off base, off balance, if you will. And that's where we kind of realized it's really hard to find resources in rural America because he really needed resources and it wasn't happening.
Yeah, it's the transition is tough enough in a community like Atlanta, Georgia, where I live, that's got a ton of nonprofits and government agencies, and the I can hop in the car and drive and find everything within arm's reach, but to be in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere like that, I can't imagine. So that struggle became the antithesis of starting Operation Honor Rural Salutes. When did you figure out, like, when was that light bulb going off and going, I want to help? And I think the best way for me to help is to start my own nonprofit.
Well, Chris decided he didn't want to be a civilian anymore and went into the reserves. And so then that led to him signing up for a deployment without telling me. And so when he was on deployment, I just started talking about our experience. And I had a ton of feedback from other spouses who felt the same thing. They had the same struggles. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not just an idiot that couldn't do it because it really felt like, and I say this a lot, like it feels like you have to know the answer to the question before you even know what questions to ask because you just straight up don't know what you don't know. And so while he was on deployment, I had a lot of time to think about this because it was COVID too. So he was gone for a year. I had two babies under two. And um, I mean, not really a lot of time to think, but like a lot of time to think. And I just didn't want to not be a resource to people who felt the same hopelessness that I had felt because it was the lowest of low for our family, and it was absolutely horrifying.
What was your first step?
Yeah, no, like, I put, like, an informal survey out to just the military community, like, if we did something like this, would it be helpful? Knowing what I know now, we were already reinventing the wheel. Even though I was saying I don't wanna reinvent the wheel, we were totally doing that. And so, um, that's just, like, further proof that even though I researched everything, because how we started wasn't necessarily focused on rural, it was really focused on connecting people that live in small towns, these dogs, to the resources that are in their backyards. And there's already stuff like that out there. So even though I knew that there was stuff out there, I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I wanted to recreate that. And I think that goes to nonprofits and even larger organizations not being able to really market their services well, you know? So 2 years in, we really switched gears to just focus on um, rural and small town because that's where my heart was.
Yeah, and as we see, you're a busy mom. A Is Chris still in the reserves?
Yes, he's full-time reserve now.
So he's full-time reserve. So you got the full-time military spouse thing going on. And holy cow, you decided to not only start a nonprofit, but you're the executive director. And you decide to sign up and apply for the Bush Institute Veteran Leadership Program, which is a presidential scholar program, which is about 6 months of like very busy, like for 6 months. Wow, that's really impressive. Let's go to the Bush Institute. What helped? Was there any like nugget of info you got? Any connections to help you go forward with the this amazing nonprofit?
During it, I just kept thinking, why am I here? Because everyone else is way cooler than me. Like,
No, no way.
um, so it really took me a long time I don't think I ever got over that imposter syndrome because I'm just like, well, I feel so lucky to be in the room with all of you because it really was like, whoa, everyone is so accomplished. They're so ahead. Um, they have so much knowledge and understanding of systems that I don't. But I love listening to the speakers, and I often still think about General Levitt and General Flowers because I think those two really impacted me the most in what they had to say. And they're just such inspiring people. But like the real thing that made a difference for me is the connections with my classmates, like in between sessions and afterwards. Like to me, I feel like the magic has all happened after it has ended. Like we've got really, really great info, but now I've had the opportunity to go really, really deep with a lot of people and collaborate on stuff. Cross collaboration in the alumni community. It's just been phenomenal. And I can like pick up the phone and call and just ask questions or panic to somebody or whatever. And it's great. I am still trying to figure out what value I add to anybody else, but everybody else has added immense value to me.
Oh, please. Stop it. So I agree. So we had some great speakers coming in. Just to put some context to the listeners and viewers. General Levitt was actually during my time in the Air Force, and I've been retired for 20 years. She was the first female combat pilot in the United States Air Force. And then General Flowers he's got this pretty cool distinction. He was the longest serving African American in the U.S. military and in the U.S. Air Force. Um, Love them both. General Levitt, just the determination, like just an unstoppable power. Like, hey, I'm going to do this. The story she tells about, like, she got pretty much threatened, like, don't apply for combat duty. This will be the end of your career. And she goes, screw it, I'm going to apply. And I thought that was like ultimate badass. And then General Flowers, I think there was the amazing thing was his zeal for life. And one of our disfranchised class members asked him kind of a BS question like, hey, with everything going on, like how in the world are you so positive? And I loved his answer. It was like, did you have breakfast this morning? Right. Do you have 3 square meals? Like you're in an air conditioned and General Flowers is like my family. They were sharecroppers, and he was like, if you can't take what's going on in America in the context, like and see the good. So I absolutely loved. I think the speakers were very inspirational, but for me, the real kind of secret sauce has been the fellow classmates. I was just up in DC for 2 weeks, and I had different events with seven of our classmates, and I got to hang out, which was really cool from Casey and Catherine and the Washington tattoo with Mark Riley, and got to see Brandon and meet Brandon's daughter and some others. I think it's just really, really cool. And I can't wait until the Military Influencers Conference where we get to be in the room together, a lot of us. So I think that's been pretty magical. You held your own. Nobody, you kept saying imposter syndrome, but nobody believed it. And I'm not believing it. My listeners or viewers are not going to believe it. you're doing amazing things. Look at you and your journey so early on, and what you're doing. I mean, you're 20 years ahead of I was, maybe 30 years ahead of where I was. So I think you're having an impact. And one of the things I really like about you is you're doing it for the right reasons. I mean, you have a servant's heart, and versus a lot of people who try to do this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I can't understand that because I'm just like, people who start nonprofits thinking they're going to be just making some money. And I'm like, what do you, we must have got, we must have got different lines of communication because
Oh, oh, I see it. Oh, I see so much. I see people thinking they're going to get rich. They think they're going to get famous. They think all these opportunities are just going to hit them in the face. Some people struggle, honestly, in their normal job. So they, some like go to create a business. Some like, well, I can't figure out how to, succeed in business. So I'm going to create my own nonprofit. And a nonprofit is all those things, you got to be a mom, you got to be a dad, you got to be the CEO, you got to be the executive director, you got to be your chief of finance, you got to be your head of fundraising. It is like so much work. To see the success you're having is pretty wonderful. So where is the organization now? And I noticed you just had an event in Pennsylvania, which we talked about, but you've had multiple events. What are those events, and what have you learned from those early events?
well, everyone definitely is a learning experience because I don't think we've found the exact secret sauce yet, but they're getting better every time. And so we did just start these events in Pennsylvania, and now because of the Bush Institute, we've been able to scale to 4 states. So we did North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and then next we're going to Georgia and South Carolina. And what it is it's a weekend event. So hoping more families can come out and come together. Um, we like to bring in, of course, we have the VA there. We have a whole tent dedicated to the VA. So as many lines of outreach as the VA can bring. We bring in the VBA to do enrollment. The Office of Rural Engagement in DC always comes to support. And then if there's a county veteran service officer, if there's the State Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, we have them there. Any resources the state can provide, any local nonprofit that we can come, it's always free to set up. I think people find that to be crazy, but I never charge for any nonprofits to set up. Um, and then any like organization that serves veterans. For example, we have like Grand Canyon University, Columbia Southern University, um, I don't know, just various things. But then we also have craft vendors. So we like to highlight veteran-owned, military spouse-owned craft vendors, kids games, bounce houses, fire trucks, ambulances, military vehicles, recruiters, um, music, live music, DJ, food trucks. There's just like a little bit of everything. And we try to make it as kid friendly and kid focused as possible. We had a petting zoo this year in Pennsylvania, a mechanical bull, face painter, and we always pay the face painter so families don't have to come and feel like they're getting a nickel and dime for everything because we want people of all ages, ranks, status to be able to come and enjoy the event and not feel like they can't give their kids something. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a really, really bad feeling. And so we do try and make it as accessible as possible. We have speaker panels. Um, And our goal is just to give people that sense of community and get the resources and support that they need and allow them to pick and choose what they want to use or what path they want to go down.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Hey, a lot of my listeners and viewers are from Georgia. So, uh, where is your Georgia event and when?
Our Georgia event is October 10th at Georgia Military College in Milledgeville. So the Milledgeville campus.
Yeah, that's in the Boonies as well. So, good place to have it. So, yeah, amazing. If somebody wants to donate or they want to hear more about your organization, where can I find this info?
You can head to our website. We have the donation tab up there too, or learn more at ohruralsalute.org.
Yeah, amazing. You're doing such good work. I want you to lose the term imposter syndrome, like forget it. So because before you know it, you're going to be mentoring people on how to start a nonprofit. It doesn't feel like that now, but I've been down this path about maybe 15 years ago, and I know how you're feeling, but it happens very, very quickly. You're just going to start figuring things out. So what advice can you give to a military spouse that may be struggling right now that's listening to this podcast?
The best piece of advice that I have learned, whenever my husband and I were struggling, because we didn't always have a happy marriage. It was really stressful being a military spouse. Military marriages are very difficult. Um, no matter what is going on, you have to take ownership of yourself. And that's not an easy thing to recognize. But the only thing that you can ever control is yourself. And like the saying goes, if the Army wanted you to have a spouse, they would have issued you one, right? So um, they they don't like to make it easy on military spouses, but you have to take ownership of your own mental health. You have to reach out and build your community. And in order to have neighbors, you have to be a good neighbor yourself. So I know it's not the advice that a lot of people like to hear, but I do believe in tough love, and I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, it's great advice. I think sometimes you do have to show tough love. So thanks, Michelle, for coming on Tango Tango. I can't wait to see you at the Military Influencers Conference. Had such a blast last time. Maybe we'll find a funky Polynesian restaurant in Tampa, and like we did in Atlanta. To my listeners and viewers, as always, I'm going to close this. Be like Michelle. Be safe. Be kind. And be remarkable.
The Tango Tango podcast is proudly sponsored by Supply Chain Now. Join the Tango Tango community for more inspiring stories. Follow us on Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to the Tango Tango YouTube channel and follow and listen to Tango Tango wherever you get your podcasts.